Okay, folks, I've topped up and I've got some computer analysis. I also checked in John Watson's A Strategic Chess Opening Repertoire for White for the Albin Countergambit, which is what was played in the opening 3 moves of the game I just played. So I opened with 1 d4. My opponent responded with d5. C4 is the Queen's Gambit. And then the reply, e5, is the Albin Countergambit. In either case, if my c pawn or my opponent's e pawn is taken, there's no immediate option to exchange. So it's a double gambit, and it's called the Albin Countergambit. Now, the most common move here, and the move that is part of the Albin Countergambit, is for white to immediately take the e pawn. D takes e5, and furthermore, at this point, my opponent moved his bishop, but that is not really a book move even. It's not part of the typical Albin Countergambit process. It's not the point. The point of the Albin Countergambit is for black to advance his pawn. And so what I've done also is checked out the Albin Countergambit over on Lichess. And so we'll just go through it here, and you can see then what the more conventional moves are for this opening. And also, if you're white, there's a trap you need to be aware of. I did mention I was grumbling and mumbling about possible traps. Things worked out well in the end. So this is what my opponent did. What we're looking for in the Albin Countergambit is this. And then this is John Watson's repertoire recommendation. Then knight b to d2. Now, I know this combination, but you notice the bishop stays at home. It's the knight which immediately protects this advancing pawn. And then from here, we come out. And so now we have 2 knights and the queen all looking at this pawn. Okay, so that's the standard setup for the Albin Countergambit. Now, I mentioned earlier that there is a trap you should know about if you're playing as white. So let's have a look at what that is. So d4, d5, c4, e5, the Albin Countergambit, we take. And then we have the advance of the pawn. Now, here's where the trap comes in. You might think that you want to challenge that pawn and usher it away with e3, but that is a big mistake, my friends, because black comes in with an immediate check. Now, it doesn't look too bad. You can obviously just stop the check with bishop to d2. Actually, a good question is, why wouldn't you stop it with your knight? We pick up the pawn here, pick up a pawn here, and bang, in comes the queen. So here we've got a small advantage for black, you see. So coming over here. But the trap is this. You should play knight to f3, but if you play instead this line here, you can get caught. Bishop. Now, if you move your bishop up, this is where the trap kicks in. Pawn takes. Oh, look, there's a hanging bishop. So you grab the bishop, and look what happens to the bar. This is now winning for black because the pawn comes down here and checks and is threatening to promote to a queen down here. You say, well, yeah, but the castle can nobble it. It's not good. You're down a knight. So, hey, why doesn't the king just take the pawn? Well, if you can't see what's going to happen already, let's have a look. In taking the pawn, the king is no longer defending the queen. And so there we go. It's pretty much game over at this point. So that's the trap you need to avoid. We'll just go through that again. We get the Albin Countergambit. We take, then get the d4 move. If we go for the e3 trap, that's a trap. Don't do e3. Check. And then don't do bishop here. Takes. Grabs that free bishop, apparently, but it's a trap because the king moves away from the queen in order to stop the pawn from taking the knight. Well, what happens if the king doesn't do that? So if the king decides instead to avoid the immediate loss of the queen, black has a huge number of nice options. Black can now promote, could even do a knight promotion to check the king. And we've got the bishop can come in here. The bishop could come straight in here now. although it does allow him to get the knight out, so forget that. Take the knight, do a knight promotion, they're always fun. He comes down. On the other hand, if we do a queen promotion, it may encourage black to take the queen with the rook. So let's do that instead. So if we give ourselves a queen promotion, things get back to equal. That's interesting, isn't it? So there's counter traps possibly here. You grab that, we grab that, and according to Lichess, is completely equal. That's interesting. So the trap to avoid, just to be clear, when we're here, is the E3 trap. Where's it gone? E3, bishop, and then it's bishop to D2, takes, grabs the bishop, thinking he's got something. Check. If the king takes, the queen takes the queen. So if you do get to that situation, it's probably better not to take the queen. However, now it looks like it's much better for black to promote with a knight, getting that check. And then if black tries to protect the queen, we can bring in the queen over here. And so black is now a piece up, a couple of pieces up, because black's got this extra knight now. 3 knights to 1. Anyway, that is the Albin Countergambit trap that you need to know about. So let's get rid of that. And let's now check out how our game went and where we got things wrong and where we got things right, because we both made a bit of a blunder. So I was surprised by this move. I did knight to f3, which is, I remembered from standard Albin Countergambit that I had to get my knight to f3, and that's fine. If I remember rightly, Lichess recommended an immediate capture of the pawn here. And here, this is where I think the computer analysis recommends that I take that pawn. So here, the computer analysis wants me at this point to take the pawn. And then we get into a queen exchange, and we get this strange setup here, but it puts me up when it comes to material and position. So in this situation, I have 2, 4, 5, 6 pawns to 5. And I have better development, and I've got more space. So I think this gives white a considerable advantage. However, I didn't do that. So let's return to my main line. I developed my knight. Now, the standard Albin Countergambit position for this knight is hop over here to hop over here. So knight b to d2, followed by knight to b3 for the double attack on the pawn, which usually has advanced down here. Anyway, that didn't happen in our game. And you see white now has a nice little advantage built up. He advances pawn. This is where I wasn't quite sure whether I was doing okay or not. I still do have that advantage. My attack is considered a mistake. Queen 2, this is a blunder, yeah, because now we've got this double attack. It's a blunder because my bishop is attacking the queen and my pawn is attacking the bishop. So he moves his queen up. We pick up the bishop. He grabs the pawn. Okay, now we start to clear the way. But at some point, I blunder, don't I? Okay, take out the queen. Okay, this is the blunder here. Because I lose this. That's right, that's the blunder. So I was focused on ushering away the queen, completely forgot that I had a hanging knight. So that blunder, I still have an advantage. Okay, that's probably just a mistake, trying to get my queen out, but it does pin the knight. This is an inaccuracy. Right now, the game, I'm maintaining a small advantage in the game. Even with my mistakes, what's the blunder? This is a blunder, apparently. And this one's a blunder? Wait a minute. Oh, we're just blundering. Okay, that's a blunder, and this is also a blunder. Why does he think it's a blunder? That's interesting. Okay, a blunder. The best. Okay, the best would have been the rook take. So go for that line where the rook takes, and then we get our rook back. So we pick up the knight, and we pick up the pawn with check, and we pick up the rook over there. But the point is, when you're playing humans, you can get away with that sort of thing. Okay, so we're just going to pick up material. Okay, we're back to a nice advantage. Keeping the material advantage. And then from here, I think I maintain the advantage pretty much all the way. Now I've got a big advantage, yeah. So that was probably a big blunder on his part. What was the blunder? Oh, that blunder. Yeah, that's a blunder because we get that check in. Ooh, and then we grab the bishop. And we grab the pawn. So, yeah, we're just building up a bigger and bigger material advantage. Eyeing that. Yeah. Okay, once we get in there, it's done and dusted, really. Done and dusted. And that was a blunder, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, there we go. Mate in 7. Bang, 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 bang. Finished. Okay. So anyway, the key point there, Albin Countergambit, d4, d5, c4, e5, d takes e5, then black advances d4, then knight to f3, knight to c6, knight b to e2. And you should be okay if you're white. Do not move that pawn to e3. Okay, folks, that's it all for me. That's all for me for tonight. I'll polish this off and go to Biddy Buys. Until the next exciting chess pub bluffery video.